Or do something productive or I'm probably going to lose my mind. And so I have been working on this blog post, which I'm about to publish, entitled Did Cultural Liberals Destroy the Family? And I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but I tried to sort of replicate the Thomas Aquinas' scholastic method and kind of put it into a modern style, because I think that the method basically is a pretty good one. You start out with the objections to your argument or your conclusion, and then you make your own argument, and then you show why the objections are wrong in the light of the argument. So I have a lot more to do than just this one blog post on the issue of family. This kind of touches the surface, so I'm thinking about maybe I should make some appendices or something to kind of go along with this formalistic style. I'm not sure that I want to continue, but I'm going to think about it. That's my cat scratching stuff. So anyway, so the title of this is, Did Cultural Liberals Destroy the Family? Because that's kind of a lot of conservatives think that is the cause of the breakup of the family. So I'll read this and kind of comment along the way, or commentate, as some people say. Okay, so some people argue that the disintegration of the family has been caused over time by a loosening of morals. We can see that since the sexual revolution, there has been more and more questioning and exploration of traditional gender and family roles, and this questioning seems to inevitably lead to a questioning of the value of family itself. The sexual revolution was championed by cultural liberals, or some people call them cultural Marxists, but there's no necessary connection with Marxism in their views. Therefore, cultural liberals destroyed the family. Okay, that's argument one against my argument. See, it's kind of tricky. So that's not my argument, but that's what a lot of people say. Second argument that you often hear. Further, some people argue that the advent of birth control allowed the sexual revolution to occur by falsely advertising that sex could be without consequences. When people think that they can have sex without consequences, monogamy becomes under serious stress, leading again to a questioning of the value of family itself. Cultural liberals advocated birth control. Therefore, again, cultural liberals should take responsibility for the family's destruction. Second argument, which I also don't agree with, but there's a reason why. But first we have to get to the third argument that I don't agree with. So, here it is. We hear the argument that the secularization of society has led to less and less faith and church attendance, removing yet another bulwark from under the family. Cultural liberals sought the secularization of society, having long advocated for a very thoroughgoing interpretation of the First Amendment. Therefore, once again, cultural liberals would seem to be the source of the family's demise. So that's the argument that basically by advocating strict separation of church and state, liberals led to sort of a disrespect for religion and more secularization of society, which hurts the family. Okay. Now, it's not that all of that is completely false, but I like to get to the heart of the matter. That is, that these I see as sort of superficial reasons, or they're kind of byproducts of a deeper reason. Okay? So here's where we go with Thomas Aquinas' strategy again. He always says, but on the contrary, and then he gives you his point of view. So I'm walking in his massive footsteps, probably really badly. But I say, on the contrary, I argue that the cause of the family's breakdown is the same as what caused a loosening of morals, the sexual revolution, birth control leading to sex without consequences, and the secularization of society. And that cause is not cultural liberalism, but classical liberalism, and in particular its economic component of capitalism. What? No. Let me read on. While the ultimate cause of all disorder is no doubt human nature marked by original sin or inescapable self-interest, we can point to a particular time in the development of Western society which was a turning point. Classical liberalism emerged during the Enlightenment in Europe. One of its leading thinkers was John Locke, whose social contract theory had a huge influence on the American founding. Lockean liberalism asserts the individual as the most important unit of society and puts individual rights front and center as the reason why we even form a community. Locke treats marriage as a contract arranged for mutual benefit, a contract that can be broken when both parties decide it no longer serves their interests. Locke thought people should create a government that first and foremost protected their property rights so that people could become more productive and wealthy. But thinking in terms of individualism, me first, my rights, my freedom, thinking of marriage as a breakable contract based on self-interest, and thinking of the protection of property and profit as the most important end of government is thinking that is obviously not conducive to marriage and family. And I think I need to go farther than that, so one of the things I'm going to do in the appendices to this is to do that, okay? In fact, and I know this is a little weird idea, but let it sink in, classical liberalism kind of inevitably leads to cultural liberalism. When people think of themselves and their rights first and see government as foremost protecting their financial interests, well, those are the kind of people who say, along with Cartman, whatever, I do what I want, right? You've seen Cartman on South Park, right? Whatever, I do what I want. But the ideas of classical liberalism have become associated with conservatism in America and elsewhere. Individualism, self-reliance, liberty, property rights, the goodness of self-interest and the pursuit of profit because a rising tide lifts all boats. And so the strange truth is that what we often call conservatism today is the mother of cultural liberalism. Real conservatism, what I would like to call the new conservatism, only because it's new to most of us, emerged as a reasoned response to classical liberal ideas, especially as they were expressed in the excesses of the French Revolution. The father of that type of conservatism was Edmund Burke. Anyway, to get to the objections raised at first, okay, and here's where I answer the objections at the top, the counter-arguments. Okay, 1. The loosening of morals was caused over time by the relentless questioning of moral authority inherent in Enlightenment liberalism, and also by the relentless quest for the material development at the expense of moral cultivation and development of the soul. 2. The sexual revolution was the outcome of this loosening, the invention of effective birth control and the desires of women to have the same rights and privileges as men. Women's and men's aspirations were both conditioned by liberal social and economic priorities, and in a society where it's all about me and what I want, of course, we're going to develop lots of means to sell people things that allow them the utmost sexual and every other bodily need and pleasure, expression and gratification. Some of those means include birth control, abortion, and leaving one family and making another one, or not, depending on what it takes to follow one's bliss. And 3, finally, no society that doubles down on individualism and self-expression and questioning of authority and materialism is going to be able to also maintain an influential spirituality that pushes back against the liberal grain, at least not until people realize that their religion might not go along seamlessly with their self-interest and materialistic aspirations. Classical liberalism is why Jesus now sometimes resembles a capitalist and a foreign policy hawk. That's what it takes for him to make it in America. All right, and that's my blog post. At the end of it, for your viewing pleasure, I have a video by Lecrae, one of my favorite rappers. He's a Christian rapper, but he's really good. That sounded bad. Anyway, you know what I mean. Actually, he's a very good rapper. You don't automatically think, oh my gosh, he's trying to teach me something Christian, but he's really good. Anyway, so I will be working on my style more and on my appendices to this and trying to elaborate on it. I hope you got some of what I was trying to say. Thanks. Bye.